Luis had seen worse things in his 30 years of service to the Terran Federation, but finding two shivering Zelthari children huddled in his cargo bay still made his battle-hardened heart skip a beat. The twin sisters couldn't have been more than 7 cycles old by Zelthari standards, their bioluminescent skin patterns flickering weakly in the dim light of his freighter's hold. The smaller one, her eyes wide with terror, clutched her sister's arm with trembling fingers. "Please," the older twin whispered in broken galactic common, her voice barely audible over the ship's humming engines. Luis slowly lowered himself to one knee, making himself less threatening. Decades of combat had taught him how to read fear, and these children were drowning in it. He set down his scanner and raised his empty hands. "Easy now," he said softly. "I'm not calling anyone yet." The sisters exchanged glances, their skin patterns synchronizing, a Zelthari trait that indicated deep emotional bonding. The older one spoke again, her accent thick but determined. We escape. From merchant ship. They take us from homeworld." Luis felt his jaw tighten. He'd heard rumors of child trafficking in the outer systems, but the Empire officially denied such things existed. The Zelthari Empire prided itself on its civilized society, yet here were two of their own, stolen and terrified. He asked gently. "I am Louisa," the older twin said, straightening slightly despite her fear. "Louisa," Luis repeated, noting the coincidental similarity to his own name. "I'm Luis. This is my ship, the Wandering Star." "But you are human," little Sira whispered, speaking for the first time. "Humans are warriors, killers." Luis couldn't help the sad smile that crossed his scarred face. Yes, humanity had earned its reputation during the contact wars. They'd been outnumbered, outgunned, and out-technologied by half a dozen alien species, yet they'd fought the entire galaxy to a standstill. Now, 40 years after the armistice, humans were still feared across known space. "Some of us were," he admitted. "I was one of them. But the war's been over for a long time, and I'm just a cargo hauler now." Louisa studied him with unsettling intensity. Despite her young age, there was a sharp intelligence in her crystalline eyes. The decision should have been simple. The Empire had protocols for situations like this. He should contact the nearest station, report the stowaways, let the authorities handle it. But Luis had learned long ago that protocols often meant returning vulnerable beings to the systems that had failed them in the first place. Over the next few days, the twins slowly emerged from their shell. Louisa proved to be fiercely protective of her younger sister, while Sira had a curious nature that reminded Luis painfully of his own daughter, lost years ago to a plague the Empire's medical ships had arrived too late to stop. They told him their story in fragments, kidnapped from their colony world, passed between traders like cargo, destined for some wealthy collector's private menagerie. The Zelthari Empire, for all its grandeur, had left the outer colonies virtually unprotected. Luis worked his contacts carefully. He'd made many friends during his military service, humans and aliens alike who valued honor over bureaucracy. There was a Zelthari resistance group, small but determined, working to expose the corruption in their own empire. They had safe houses, could provide new identities, could give the twins a real life. But arranging the handoff required time, and time meant more jumps through Imperial space. On the 4th day, Luis's worst fears materialized. An Imperial patrol frigate dropped out of hyperspace, matching his vector with suspicious precision. His comm system crackled to life. "Freighter Wandering Star, this is Imperial Guard Cruiser Righteous Authority." There was nothing routine about this. Luis knew a hunting pattern when he saw one. In the cargo bay, Louisa clutched Sira close, their skin patterns flickering in distress. "They found us," she whispered. Luis looked at the two frightened children, then at the tactical display showing the approaching Imperial vessel. It was a Sovereignty-class frigate, fast, heavily armed, and crewed by the Emperor's finest. His battered freighter wouldn't last 30 seconds in a fight. But Luis hadn't survived 3 decades of impossible odds by fighting fair. "Not if I have anything to say about it," he muttered, his fingers flying over the navigation console. His ship's AI, programmed with combat subroutines he'd never quite gotten around to deleting, recognized the tone in his voice. "Luis, your current course will take us into the Void Corridor. That region is designated hazardous." "I know exactly where it goes," Luis interrupted. The Void Corridor was a region of space filled with unstable gravitational anomalies, the remnants of some ancient stellar catastrophe. It was navigable if you had military-grade sensors, combat reflexes, and absolutely no regard for your own safety. The Imperial frigate, for all its firepower, was too large and too valuable to risk in there. But a small, nimble freighter piloted by a crazy human veteran? That was a different story. "Wandering Star, you are deviating from approved flight paths. Comply immediately or we will—" Luis cut the transmission and punched the throttle. The freighter screamed into the Void Corridor, alarms wailing as gravitational forces tore at the hull. Luis's hands moved with the precision of muscle memory, weaving between spatial distortions that would have crushed a larger vessel. Behind him, the Imperial frigate attempted to follow, then wisely broke off, unwilling to risk their expensive warship. 3 hours later, bruised and exhausted, Luis brought the Wandering Star limping into a hidden asteroid station controlled by the Selthari resistance. Luisa and Sira would be safe here, given new identities, and eventually reunited with others of their kind who'd escaped similar fates. As the twins prepared to disembark, Luisa turned back to Luis. Her skin patterns had settled into a soft, warm glow. Gratitude, he'd learned. "You kept your promise," she said simply. Luis nodded, his throat tight. "That's what humans do, kid. When we make a promise, we keep it." Sira wrapped her small arms around his leg in an impulsive hug before her sister pulled her away. As he watched them disappear into the station with their new guardians, Luis felt something he hadn't experienced in years. Not since before the war, before the losses, before the endless running. He felt like maybe, just maybe, humanity's reputation for being warriors could mean something better than just destruction. Maybe it could mean being warriors for those who couldn't fight for themselves. As the Wandering Star pulled away from the station, Luis set course for his next delivery, a slight smile on his weathered face. The galaxy might fear humans, but he'd make damn sure that fear protected the innocent rather than serving tyrants.